But yeah, as you said, it's you'll now listen to these voice actors as is your co-workers performing,
Yeah.
rather
Yeah.
than oh that famous actor I've heard so many times. It's now that guy I've had.
Yeah, it's like my peer, you go see a
Yeah,
Chainsaw movie and you're like, wow, Ryan's so good as Denji, you're like, oh my gosh, like, there, that's like Lexus Tipton and she sounds awesome, like but then it's always like there's a bit of like a inspiration kind of aspect too there. You're like, dang, how did they do that? How can I do that? They sounded great. Like, okay, what do I got to do to unlock whatever in me that they unlocked there?
almost
So
like an
it also
anime rivalry.
yeah, yeah. It kind of becomes like a healthy, like seeing someone, like in an anime when someone's, like training and you see them training hard and it makes you want to train hard. Like, oh, I can't let them leave. I can't get left behind. I gotta
Yeah,
step it up. I gotta, so it's also like part of that too.
that's awesome. And so going back with Western shows, since you were part of the Owl House and you also voiced young Andreas in Amphibia. Clearly, all these sort of shows, as well as Craig of the Creek, have
Hmm.
anime DNA sort of written inside them. Um,
Hmm.
as an actor who's worked in both these spaces, what's it like witnessing this creative merging of Western and Eastern storytelling?
Other great storytellers. So if a show has an anime influence, it's because and typically it's because the entire team watches anime. So I'll be working on Craig of the Creek and a board artist will be like, I love you as Hawks, right? So like there's the people working on the animation stuff all watch and love anime and that gets translated into the DNA of a show. And I think it only enhances that show because it's like the team taking and borrowing the things that they love and putting it into something that they also love, borrowing sort of storytelling elements or design elements or things like that. And I think that's always been a thing, like, borrowing from, fun, things that inspire you or things that you watched as a kid or things that you liked as a kid, and you translate that into whatever you create. And so it's really cool to see. As a kid, I always liked sort of the Western animated shows that sort of reminded me a little bit of anime or that had some, like some of the sauce that anime had. Whenever I saw a really well done animated fight scene in a Western animation show, I would be like, this reminds me of anime. So like Young Justice, like I think did a lot of that for me. And I think because the animation was done in Korea, so like they had a lot of sort of those Eastern sort of storytelling sensibilities when it came to animating the characters and animating how they move and animating how they fight. Um, and I think that's what part of what drew me to that show is I was like, yo, like this fight scene is so well done. This is so well choreographed. This is so well animated. And I think a lot of that is what draws a lot of people to anime, right? Like you like, oh, this fight scene's so well done, or this the animation in this part is so like it's so mind blowing. So, yeah, I think it's great that there's more of an overlap now. I think because I think it just one thing feeds into the other, and it helps elevate the art on both ends.
No, agreed. And I would assume that a lot of these animators are now much like you and me, grew up watching a lot of these
Hmm.
animes, and that's been the stark inspiration.
Yeah.
Particularly as anime nowadays, the budget seems to be much higher, the respect and like the challenge of creating the most intense battle.
Hmm.
It's stronger than it's ever been.
Yeah.
So beyond anime and Western cartoons, you've actually had a pretty solid career in gaming franchises. As
Mhm.
you said earlier, Persona 3 Reload, Horizon Forbidden West, and even having a character in Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
Do you find the gaming fandoms interact with you differently from your anime fandoms? And how does the energy compare when you meet them at conventions?
Not really, but I think that's probably because I've worked a lot on like localized games, so games that originate in Japan that get like brought over to the West and are localized. So like Persona 3 Reload is a Japanese, its origin is in Japan, and Street Fighter's origin is in Japan, and a lot of the games I've worked on they come from Japan. So I think there's just a lot of overlap between anime fans and JRPG fans, or like anime fans and fans of games that come from Japan. So I typically don't tend I tend to typically not see much of a difference, honestly. But I think that's why.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, definitely. So it seems that almost every actor has one project that they've poured their heart into, but for whatever universal reason, it didn't get the mainstream spotlight it deserves. Is there one
Mm.
hidden gem in your CV that you wish more people would look towards?
Yes, and I have the same answer every time. It's I was on as in this game called Chris Tales. It was like one of the first JRPG, even though it's not from Japan, it was one of the first sort of JRPG style games I ever worked on. It was made by a team. God, I can't remember where they're from, but they're from like somewhere in Latin America, like Colombia or something. But it's a gorgeous game about time travel, and it's like you can split the screen, and so like the party is in the is on one side, and you can go back in time or forwards in time in battle, because the main character, the girl Crispell, she had like time powers, so you split the screen, but you can like fast forward so if your enemy was too strong, for example, you could fast forward time to age them and make them weaker or more frail. Or you could like go backwards in time to a point before they were that strong to expose weaknesses and things like that. It's this really rich story. And I played this character named Christopher. It's some of my best work. And I just think like I thought the game was gonna be a smash when it came out, and I wasn't the smash I expected it to be. So I really hope it gets like a cult following. But I think it was a lovely, wonderful game made by a great indie team. I think Modus Interactive was the team, and I'm trying to remember the dev team, but they were great, and working on that game was great, and it's one of my favorite projects to date. And just like people, I feel like more people should play it.
No, definitely. I mean, that actually sounds quite unique, actually. So I might
Yeah,
have
it
to check
is.
that one
It's so
out.
great. It's a great story. You meet a robot. You get a robot as one of your companions. One of your companions is able to like control plant life and like the time stuff. Christopher, he's a battle mage, so he fights with the shield that breaks into two blades. Um and yeah, man, I see. I felt like it had all the elements to like work. I felt like it had all the elements to be amazing. So,
I mean, it sounds like the Shield to Blades, like maybe someone in who did the production for Avengers Infinity War kind of got
oh
inspiration.
right,
I mean,
yeah,
it
yeah.
sounds
They
like
said,
I kind of
"Oh,
got an idea
that's a
there.
cool idea." Yeah, I agree. I like that. Let's do that. Let's say that the Avengers took inspiration from Christelle, so more people go play Christelle.
Yeah, exactly. So you now have a new YouTube show out, The Comic Shop. Can you tell us about it and how you got involved initially?
Yeah, the comic shop is a really fun show. We won Best in Series at American Black Film Festival
Oh,
last weekend,
congratulations.
which is amazing. So that should be incentive to watch if you're listening to this or watching this. Um, it's a show about these four friends who own a comic book store in LA, and sort of the wacky sort of hijinks they get into trying to keep their store afloat and pay the rent. It's in the middle of Los Angeles, so they encounter many different types of colorful people. We have a D&D episode. We have an episode where a rat gets into the store with a real live rat that we had to interact with. We have an episode where I break dance. So it's just a really fun show. That's great cameos. Cardi Payton, who we mentioned earlier, makes a cameo appearance at the show. Ryan Cole Levy makes a cameo appearance. Rahul Kohli makes a cameo appearance. It's such a fun amazing show. I got involved because the creator Cheyenne, who I've worked with a lot in the anime space at conventions, and she's interviewed me a bunch of times. She DM'd me one day. It's like, I have an idea for a show. I want you to be in it. And I was like, let me know. I've been wanting to do more on camera work. Let me know whatever you need. I got you. Say less. Um, she told me the idea. I was already on board from then on. And then we did a year later, she came back with a script. We shot a proof of concept, and then we crowdfunded. We raised about $200,000, and we filmed all of season one last year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And as you say, Ned, it's gotten you out of the booth and in front of the camera. How's that transition been for you to be more physical acting and rather
It
than the voice work?
I tend to I've trained for many years and on camera, so I'm not a stranger to it. But because I don't get to work on it often, and because I don't have many opportunities to flex that muscle, it is like a muscle that must be trained. So I must like relearn every single time how to sort of like voiceover. I'm always auditioning. I'm always in a booth. So like my process, my creative process, I've kind of gotten down. So I find with on camera, it is that is the it's like another muscle I have to train, and I don't get to train that one as much. So it is always a fun challenge to figure out what ways I can grow and expand as an on-camera actor. So it's a good time.
Ah, great. And so if you could have any comic themed special guest on the show, who's your dream pick? You always said you had quite a few already, but is
Yeah.
there one that you'd be like, if we can nail that one, then we're done.
Literally, Cheyenne and I all the time talk about if we're talking about the world of comic books specifically, like a specific artist or author, we always say we want Cody Ziegler or Nicholas Draper Ivey to make a cameo. And Nick is a good friend of mine, and he called me. He was like, "I want to make a cameo on this show." He was like, "I want to do that XYZ." So I would love to have them on at some point. That would be super cool.
Yeah, awesome. Do you see yourself taking more live action roles going forward?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I would love to have a cool little tenure on camera. On camera would probably help the voiceover career as well. So, um, yeah, that's something I'm being intentional about and aiming for within the coming years.
that's awesome. And you've worked on quite a few dubs for live action projects. These adaptations, they've kind of got a history of some high highs and some very low lows. Um,
Mhm.
in your own opinion, what do you think the live action adaptations of these animes consistently get right? And what do you think they misunderstand when they try to adapt?
I think sometimes the production value of an anime movie, they kind of always tend to get that right. Like the special effects are always cool. Translating specific objects from anime to live action, it's always cool to see. You always want to see a real life version of an object, like a real life looking Dragon Ball or a real life looking, you know, Akira bike. Or there's no Akira live action, but like like
Not yet.
seeing that translate, not yet, right? But seeing that translated into live action, even for the One Piece, like the Going Merry, like stuff like that is like the coolest thing to see. Anime movies or live action animes get right. Even down to the costuming, the live action Yu Yu Hakusho and things like that, like seeing them translate the outfits into real life. Even Cowboy Bebop, it's like that's cool. I think what they consistently get wrong is they try to take themselves too seriously as they try to ground the anime into realism so much that it loses the identity of what made the anime the anime. Um, so they try to either give it too realistic of a story, they make the characters too realistic of or sometimes they'll change a character completely. Like the live action Death Note, his name wasn't Light, it was like Dylan or something. I don't know. Yeah, like, but even though I really like Lakeith Stanfield as L, I think he,
Mm.
like there's certain things that they get right, but then there's certain things that they don't get right, and so you know, like I think sometimes they try too hard to sometimes it slaps in the face of the story that people love, right? Like you can't change significant things to fit your version of the story and then expect the people who want to see the original version of the story adapted. to follow you there.
Mm.
Especially with a Precious thing too. Like, it's really, I think, really difficult to make Dragon Ball into live action without getting a little goofy. I think goofiness is in the blood of Dragon Ball. It's in Toriyama's blood. It was in how he told the stories. Dragon Ball as a show was way goofier than Dragon Ball Z, right? But even Dragon Ball Z has its goofy moments. Um, so I think they tend to like not have sort of a piece of the soul that made people like the actual anime, and that's why a lot of that stuff sometimes falls on its face.
Yeah, agreed. And particularly, as you said, with the goofy aspect, arguably it's why live action One Piece has done well, is they kind of accepted this is a
Hmm.
very wacky world. This guy
Yeah.
stretches, this dude holds a sword in his mouth. Well, they're not trying to ground it into this, could it
No.
be real?
Yeah.
And you're completely right in that. And the same with Death Note, I think, is taking the story and trying to westernize it is kind of an
Hmm.
aspect I don't think it quite gelled as well
No.
because we don't have um, Shinigami and Death Note
Yeah.
concept here
You know.
in the Western side.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So it's like, so they'll do a thing and then they'll be like, but we're not gonna do, they'll go, we're gonna do our own thing. We're not gonna, when every time they say that, well, we're gonna do our own thing. We're just gonna not follow the story. We're not gonna adapt anything. I go, it's not gonna do good then, you guys. Like, it lets me know none of you actually watched it. You'd think you're like, oh, Death Note, big name, right? Big name, popular thing. But like none of you watched it or had an understanding of why people liked it or why it's as big as it is. So yeah, yeah.
so final question then is say Netflix came knocking on your door, they wanted you to take part in One Piece live action. I
Hmm.
don't know how well you know One Piece
Hmm.
as an anime, but if you do, is there any characters that you would go, I would love to play X, Y, or Z?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I know a little bit about One Piece. I don't know too much. And I don't know where the season two left off, but I think I would say Kuzan, but he tall. Like I'm not tall enough to play
Oh,
him.
we can get you as Kuzan. They've got
That
special
would
effects, camera angles.
Yeah, if they can make me tall, I would definitely go for like a Kuzan or I would just want to play somebody with some powers, you
Mm.
know. There's this character that I really wanted to play. He was in a filler arc of One Piece called All Hunt Ground. Um, and I really wanted to play him in the show. I was like, God, I wanted Ground so bad. And he's great. He's voiced by my friend John Alejandro. He sounds awesome. But I would do John Alejandro's live action version of Ground if they want to just like, make him canon for an episode.
Well, they can make him as
I
a
think that
background
would
cameo, like a wanted poster.
Yeah.
They've done it
Yeah,
before,
that
so
would be cool. That would be cool.
well, listen, thank you so much for coming and taking the time out for this interview.
Of
It actually
course.
has been fantastic. Is there any projects you're working on at the moment you want to give a shout out to, or anything you're looking forward to?
I just think stay tuned for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man season 2. I just want everybody to check that out when it comes out, help blow that up. This season's going to be good. I can't say really anything more than that, or
No
Marvel will
spoilers.
murder me. But yeah, just be on the lookout for when it comes out. And yeah, that's the kind of the main bag.
Ah, brilliant. Well, again, thank you so much for coming out, and yeah, we look forward to seeing more of your work, and especially the comic shop when the rest of the episodes drop.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Ah, brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, Super Friends. Check out more videos from across our YouTube channel right here. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share on all your favourite platforms. See you next time.